Hey everybody, it's Tia, aka Everyday Monet, and in this You Can series video, I'm talking all about eyeshadow application, this, that, and all that you need for like banging eyeshadow. Cause like, you can do it. I know you can. And I'm giving you my knowledge and wisdom, and I hope it really helps you. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. I hope you enjoy this video. See ya. Okay, so before we start our eyeshadow, one of the important things that I always do before I put on eyeshadow is I use an eyeshadow primer. That helps the eyeshadow to not only stick to your eyelid better, but it can help like the lasting power and that sort of thing. I'm going to use this Lorac eyeshadow primer. I have a bunch of these because they've come in Lorac palettes. You do not have to use Lorac eyeshadow primer. There's a Wet n Wild primer. There's an e.l.f. primer that's really nice. A lot of people like the Urban Decay primer potion, and that's like their go-to. I'm using this because I have a lot of it. I'm just going to use my finger. You can use a brush if you feel more comfortable. And I'm just going to dab the primer on and smooth it out. And make sure to cover the entire lid. All right, so we're going to use the Tartelette in Bloom palette for this look because this is a neutral palette and it's still available. A lot of my palettes tend to be limited edition, so I want to make sure that if you really like the look, you could go and get. Plus it smells so good. So before we get started with the eyeshadow, I'm going to put a little bit of powder under my eyes. Now you don't necessarily have to do this, but my foundation is already on and a lot of the shadows that I use are fairly powdery, so it's just like a practice that I do. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this fluffy brush from Sonia Kashuk and I'm going to use my tried and true Coty Airspun powder. This is in translucent. You can get this at Walmart, Target. It's under $7. And I'm just going to gather up a bunch of the powder and I'm just going to dust it up under my eye. And all that does is and I know it looks goofy now, but we're going to wipe it away. All it does is if something falls down, then we can easily wipe it away. I'm going to try this this Flawless Concealer brush from e.l.f. just to get a little bit closer to the eye. Okay. So the first thing that I always do when I'm doing eyeshadow is I lay down a base color that's pretty close to my natural color. It really helps to set sort of a smooth foundation, a smooth base for the other shadows to layer up on. I'm going to use this brush, this large eyeshadow brush from Sonia Kashuk. I'm going to go into the shade here called Flower Child. And we're just going to put that all over the lid. And these are pretty powdery. A lot of people don't like powder or like fallout. That's when it falls down. But a lot of times, if it's more powdery, it's more blendable. So, you know, what do you want? So we're just going to work this all over the lid. And I'm actually going to work it all the way up to close to my brow bone. All right. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to put in what's called the transition color. And this is where you're sort of layering colors up so that they look really nice and blended. And for a transition, I'm going to go ahead and use this color here. I'm going to use this color here called Jet Setter. I'm going to go in with this sort of fluffier crease brush from Sonia Kashuk. And I'm going to start from the outside and I'm going to work in. And in order to get the right placement, I actually am going to lean my head back so that I can see where you can see that ridge of the eyebrow bone. Not the eyebrow bone. See where you can see that ridge where the bone is coming in at the crease? I'm going to concentrate the color there. And the key to good eyeshadow is blending. So I'm actually going to go in with another fluffy crease brush from Sonia Kashuk, and I'm just going to use it to just blend everything in. You could use the same brush. I'm just super weird and particular, so that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to use these circular motions. I'm going to take this shade Rebel here, and I'm just going to deepen the crease up just a little bit. So I'm going to use a smaller crease brush. And I'm going to use this brush. This is the Luxie 231 Small Tapering Blending Brush. And I'm going to go into Rebel. And I'm really going to lean my head back, and I'm just going to concentrate it right here, starting from the outside and just right into the crease. Then I'm going to take that same brush that we blended the first one, and I'm going to blend the second one in. Okay. Then I'm going to take a little bit of that jet setter that we used, and I already have a little bit on the brush. And because I have sort of like a hooded eye, I'm just going to go in just like this and shade that in such a way so that it brings it up just a little bit, draws the eyes up, and lifts the eye a bit. Okay. Next, I'm going to go all over the lid with this shade here called Firecracker. For that, I'm going to use one of my Urban Studio lid brushes. This is also the Kala brand. I get these at Ross, TJ Maxx, Marshalls. This is like my favorite brushes, like my favorite. And then whenever I'm going on the lid with something, I always pull my eye taut a little bit. That's just what I like to do to make sure that I get, it doesn't get caught in any creases or folds or wrinkles or anything like that. You can see there's definitely fallout with that one. So I'm glad we have the powder. Okay. And I actually would like to intensify this just a little bit. So I'm going to take this Real Techniques brush. It is the shading brush. I'm going to get that same color on the brush, and then I'm going to do what's called foiling it, which means I got a little bit of product on the brush, and then I'm going to actually spray it so that it's wet. This helps to intensify the color. Okay. I really like that. And the last thing we're going to do is we're just going to put a color in the inner corner to open up the eyes and sort of highlight that inner corner. And before we do that, I'm going to wipe away this powder. So I'm just going to take my powder brush that I was using. I'm actually going to get a little more powder on it to make sure that I don't rub this in. All right, so the last thing that we're going to do is we are going to take this shade here called Charmer and work it onto the inner corner. And I have this like little toothbrush, paddle brush. I feel like it fits right nicely in this little inner corner, so I'm going to use that and just work it in. And I like that, but I would like just a little more pop on the inner corner. So I'm going to take this color called Funny Girl up here. It's more of a satiny color. And just add it in. I'm going to foil it and then just work it into the inner corner. Oh yeah. That's what I'm liking that much better. So you can see the difference where that's like really brightening and opening up the eye. And then I just like to take a brush like this from the Urban Decay. This one's from the Naked too, but they're all the same. And just go ahead and blend these together, pulling from the inner corner and going out. And then I flip my brush over. And there you have it. There's the eyeshadow. I hope you enjoyed this You Can Do It video. I hope that you become one of my Monets if you're not already. I will see you in my next video. Have a super day. Bye.